Welcome to our worship this morning.
Wow. Wow. Oh. Good morning. It is so good to say good morning. I'm the Reverend Diane Dowgiert. My pronouns are she and her, and it is my deeply felt pleasure to welcome you to this time of worship at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. I want to welcome everyone here in the sanctuary and welcome everyone who is joining us by Zoom or Facebook or YouTube. We are so glad that you are here on this momentous day when this beautiful sanctuary has been reopened after 20 long months of standing empty. If you are joining us on Zoom, I invite you to put your device into gallery view and know that the folks in the sanctuary can see you. And if you'll wave and say hello. And now, folks in the sanctuary, if you want to say hello to people on Zoom, you're going to have to turn and wave to the camera. So, hello, people on Zoom. I want to thank everyone who made this day possible and who is making this day possible, from the crew that came in and cleaned, polished, and made the sanctuary ready, to the tech team that engineered the sound, camera, and projection system, to the Zoom hosts, to the in-person greeters, to the musicians, to the worship committee, and to the dedicated and hardworking staff. We would not be here today were it not for each and every one of you. And I would like to extend a special welcome to any of you who may be visiting with us for the first time, whether here in person or by Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. If you'd like to learn more about our congregation and how to become involved, you can reach out to our student minister, Diane Dowgiert, and you can find her contact information on our website, which is firstuunash.org. And you can also find out more about our religious education, faith formation, and social justice activities. I have just a couple of housekeeping notes about today's service. Everyone in the sanctuary seated in the sanctuary is masked, and we are grateful for that. And we're doing our darndest to be adequately socially distanced. And speakers will be unmasked from the pulpit only while speaking. For people who this is your long-time home, you will note an important change is that the women's restroom is now the men's restroom. I think the women say thank you. Yes, thank you. And the men's restroom is now the women's restroom. So just so you don't make that mistake and discover it on your own. And one final note is that today's service will include the sharing of joys and concerns, and this portion of the service will not be shown on Facebook or YouTube, just to preserve the intimacy and the identity of people sharing deeply from their lives. May we all be nurtured and strengthened by our time of worship here today.
Good morning. My name is Jay Tiefenbrunn. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville as your director of music ministries. Our opening song invites us into the mystery and harmony of singing together. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour is a round. It's been a while since we've sung together, and so I invite you to receive the imperfection that this might bring. As if on cue. We'll all sing it together first once, and then Elaine has offered to lead the second voice in singing, and I see a number of choir members and confident singers here, and if you wish to lead additional parts, you are welcome to do so. But I invite you to rise up in body or in spirit. Rise up in the sanctuary. Rise up at home. If you wouldn't mind scooching just a little bit. Thank you so much. Scooch, scooch, scooch for the camera line. Okay, awesome. Nope. Go back. Awesome, thank you. Woohoo! Let us sing together. We're gonna sing through it once, yep. All together. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body. the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near.
Good morning. My name is Elaine Bailey, and my pronouns are she, her, and I am just delighted to read you the call to worship this morning, which was written by Kimberly DeBus. There are no good opening words written long ago or even recently that capture this moment. We are in uncharted territory, taking up a task our past selves and our ancestors can only imagine, but here we are. We are the people this moment needs. And so let us take up our work in covenant, in faith, in pursuit of healing and holding. Let our work today be fruitful and helpful, despite our fears and uncertainties, despite our anxieties and frustrations. Let us chart this new course that says, we were, we are, and we can be again. May it be so.
Good morning. My name is Caleb Hampton. I'm your religious education administrator here at First UU Nash, and this is the Chalice Lighting. The words for this Chalice Lighting are written by George Kimmage Beach. In the mystery of life, about us there is light. It gives us a place to grow, a place to be, to rejoice together. It opens the pathways to love. In this place of friendship, there is freedom. Let the light we kindle go before us, strong in hope, wide in goodwill, inviting the day to come.
Good morning. I am Marguerite Mills. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your Director of Lifespan Religious Education. I hear that there are 86 of you in the sanctuary, and I am just blown away by that. And I'll be there at some point, not to worry. In any case, our story today. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Recognize that? It was the opening to Superman TV shows, movies that have entertained multiple generations. My sister and I, we loved watching the old black and white TV show when we were kids. I especially loved the very first episode when the baby landed on the planet Earth and the Kents adopted him. Anyway, I got chills every time I heard those words, and I still do. And I also find myself thinking about the words in the hymn that we just sang: mystery, strong body, struggle, power, spirit. Christopher Reeve was Superman in the 1970s and 80s. He certainly had a strong body. He did most of the stunts himself. He was a sailor, a windsurfer. He played soccer, baseball, tennis, hockey, and he was an accomplished horseman. It was during an equestrian competition that his horse balked at a jump. Now, his hand was tangled in the bridle, so when he flew off of the horse, He couldn't brace himself with his hands. It was his head that hit the ground first. 6'4", 200 pounds on his head. The impact broke his neck. Christopher Reeve was paralyzed from the neck down. Now he needed a respirator to breathe, someone to bathe and dress him. He couldn't go outside because he couldn't sweat. He couldn't feed himself. He couldn't even scratch his nose. Now, Christopher Reeve was okay with mystery. He didn't feel the need to have all the answers. He said, "You can say either the universe is totally random, that it's just molecules colliding all the time, and it's totally chaos. Our job is to make sense of the chaos. Or you can say sometimes things happen for a reason, and your job is to discover the reason. But either way, I do see meaning and opportunity." So it makes perfect sense to me that Christopher Reeve was a Unitarian Universalist. He said, "Unitarian Universalism gives me a moral compass." I often refer to Abe Lincoln, who said, "When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. And that is my religion." End quote. I think we all have a little voice inside us that will guide us. It may be God, I don't know. But I think that if we shut out all the noise and clutter from our lives and listen to that voice, it will tell us the right thing to do. The values that drew him to Unitarian Universalism also stood by Christopher as he woke to find himself paralyzed. The struggle at first was simply to decide to live, which he did with the unwavering love and support of his wife, Dana, and of his 3 children. Then the struggle to learn how to speak, to let others help him, to keep up with physical therapy, and so much more. Christopher began to use his celebrity to help others as well as himself. He asked Congress to support stem cell research that might lead to a cure for spinal cord injuries. He asked groups of people to get involved and donate money. He talked with others who had experienced injuries like his. He even spoke to millions of people during the Academy Awards, showing everyone that although his abilities had changed, his heart and his soul were strong and capable. In all of this, because of all of this, Christopher Reeve found his power. He is remembered today as a true superhero, one with human strength and human frailty, one who knew his own spirit to be strong. Superman said, "There is a superhero in all of us. We just need the courage to put on the cape." I feel sure that Christopher Reeve agreed with him.
Thank you, Marguerite, for that story. You may know that we share every Sunday's collection with an organization whose work outside our walls aligns with our values. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of December is Nashville Diaper Connection. 1 in 3 families in Nashville struggle to afford diapers. You can buy candy with food stamps, but diapers are classified with cigarettes and alcohol as disallowed purchases. Nashville Diaper Connection strives to ensure that every baby in Davidson County has enough diapers to stay clean, dry, and healthy. You can learn more about the Nashville Diaper Connection at the worship portal on our website, and you can also find a link there to the donation form. In this time of COVID, we will not be passing offering bowls through the congregation. Instead, you might want to pull out your cell phone and see if you can link to that online donation form. And if you can't do that, that's okay. I don't think I would be able to. But those of you who are able to do so, you might want to do that now. And there are offering bowls that are at the back of the sanctuary, which you're free to use at any time through the remainder of the service. And there's a basket over towards this side of the sanctuary as well. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. As always, your presence with us and your contributions are received with gratitude. Let us receive the offering.
E
As we move even more deeply into this time of silence, I invite you to take a breath, settle more deeply into your body, perhaps closing your eyes or softening your gaze. And as you reflect on your recent moments and hours and days, sometimes deeply felt joys, sorrows, and concerns arise. As those thoughts arise, you may wish to come forward and drop a stone in water, in silence, to honor what is in your heart. If you are here in person and wish for your joy, sorrow, or concern to be shared, you may write it out as legibly as possible on the little yellow slip in the pew and hand it to your lay minister, Jean Klein. If you are here via Zoom and you're live online with us, you can use the online form to, unfortunately, we don't have the technical ability to access that form here in the sanctuary, but if you're with us on Zoom, I encourage you still to fill that out, and the information about your joy or concern will be shared with your lay ministers. So please, as you feel moved, drop a stone or write something to share. Holding all of those closely in our hearts. On this 8th day of the Jewish observance of Hanukkah and the second Sunday of the Christian season of Advent, let us hold all that has been spoken and all that remains unspoken in the softness and tenderness of our hearts. In that spirit, I invite you into a time of quiet contemplation and prayer with words written by Kathleen Mcdade. There will come a time, for most of us, when we've got to decide whether we'll light our lamps, even when we're sure there isn't enough oil to keep them burning. We light a candle, take a breath, and reconnect with the flow of life, infinitely larger than our little beating hearts. A life we are part of no matter what, that calls us back, lifts us up, sustains us. Light the lamp, though the oil has run out. Light the lamp, and we'll do what we can. May we make it so through our living. Amen.
Paper. What is this? What is this crazy thing, this paper? Shelley Jackson Denham's song, Dark of Winter, called to me last year, and I created this arrangement for Northlake UU's choir. The melody is familiar, or may be familiar, and the lyrics will be displayed on the screen. I hope you will join me in singing. Thank you, Holling. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts flow where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal.
Our reading for today is titled Reflections from the River and was written by Burton Carley. Since the pandemic has the world in a kind of black hole, I was interested to read that researchers using NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope have traced the building blocks of the universe back one more step, and it leads to the massive black holes in space. We know that the Earth did not spring out of thin air, but is essentially recycled matter and higher elements. The story of Genesis gets it right in the sense that we truly come from dust, space dust. But where did that dust come from? Many galaxies have a black hole at their center, and the researchers, for the first time, were able to see how a supermassive black hole in a galaxy 8 billion light years from ours was shooting out winds carrying dust composed of complex elements. The theory is that black holes suck in simple gases at high velocity where they collide and are superheated, fusing together to form complex molecule and grains of dust. Thrust back into space, the dust eventually collects and forms stars and planets with chemical compounds from which life can form. From chaos come the building blocks for creation. It is something good to remember when spiritual storms are brewing inside our lives and also outside in the global environment. And how do we endure chaotic times? It seems counterintuitive, but it's through praise that we bear our transformations. The poet Rainier Maria Rilke understood this so well in the following poem translated by Albert Ernest Fleming. And Rilke says, "Oh, tell us, poet, what is it you do?" I praise. But in the midst of deadly turmoil, what helps you endure, and how do you survive? I praise. And that which nameless is anonymous, how do you poets still call out to them? I praise. Who grants you your right to pose in any guise, wear any mask, and still remain sincere? I praise. And that stillness and the violence like the star and storm know and acknowledge you because I praise. We survive our deepest struggles because the human spirit rose from the dust with the possibility of joy and praise. It is why we come to church. May it be so, and may we be so. And thus ends our reading.
I'll say again just how good it is to be here today, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, this very hour, the hour that we have hoped for, dreamed of, planned for, with anticipation, and, dare I say, a small amount of trepidation. Gathered as our ancestors before us did, gathered as the people we used to be did, gathered in the same way and not the same. For we are not the same as we used to be. I know that's true for me. I think it's true for you. And the world is not as it once was. And yet, as the poet Rilke says, we are gathered here to praise the mystery of this hour and all the hours before that brought us here today. Wherever here may be, Whether here in the sanctuary that has stood empty for 20 long months, or in a room somewhere in front of a device, connected, here, present in this very moment. We say something is a mystery when it's difficult or even impossible to understand or explain. For all our learning, studying, and exploring, so much of life remains a mystery, baffling, puzzling, perplexing even. And we gather, not to solve the mystery, but to enter it, to set aside our need for answers, and to simply be, settling into the questions themselves. Who are we behind these masks, these necessary masks of protection? Who have we become during these months, these long months of isolation and separation? And who are we becoming during this time of emergence? We settle into the questions, set aside our need for answers, and enter the mystery of being alive at this moment in human history, knowing only our deep longing to be here, breathing, connected, alive, connected to each other in mystery and miracle, gathered in one strong body, one strong, expansive body. It's like our connective tissue has gotten longer and stronger and more resilient, holding us together through our struggle. When a body is injured, the reflexive response is to pull inward. Muscles and ligaments contract around the injury to protect it. And as healing progresses, it takes conscious action to stretch and strengthen the muscles and ligaments in order to regain full functionality. The body, the worshiping body, that is you. The worshiping community of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville has by necessity stretched beyond the walls of the sanctuary, extending its reach in new and creative ways. Sunday worship has been exclusively in online spaces, connecting this community and our wider Unitarian Universalist faith through familiar readings and stories and songs, keeping some cherished rituals and traditions alive as best we could. During the week, the church continued, the work of the church continued through email, phone calls, Zoom meetings, events held outdoors, through friends, checking in on friends. Borrowing from Charles Dickens, we could say it has been the best of times and the worst of times. Being forced to have bigger, more regular online presence meant that we were able to reach people far and near, for whom the sanctuary here on Woodmont is inaccessible for various reasons: distance, competing work schedules, family obligations, or physical limitations. What's remarkable to me, in the 16 months that I have been here, 16 months, hard to believe, this is the first time that I have led worship here in this sanctuary. And it feels good. And even though this is the first time that I have met many of you in person, I feel like I know so many of you, especially the leadership of the congregation, those who have been in many Zoom meetings with me. And I know that some of you here today have made new friends in the congregation through the Zoom social hours that we were holding and online interactions that you would not have had otherwise. So in a way, it's been the best of times. On the other hand, while online services were more accessible for some, they were difficult, challenging, or downright impossible for others. While the longing for connection during these many months of coping with the individual and collective injuries caused by the proliferation of a microscopic virus has given us opportunities to grow and stretch. And there are also places of contraction. We know, and I've learned this from firsthand experience recently, we know that physical therapy is needed when our individual bodies are injured. The same is true for the collective spiritual body that is the church. We must gently and patiently and regularly exercise this spiritual body. We do this by renewing our covenant with each other, by strengthening our connections, and by continuing to grow and to stretch. We do this by coming together as one strong body in virtual spaces and physical spaces, as we are right now, feeling connected by a common faith tradition and a common commitment to live by our shared principles and values. Gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Marguerite told us the story of one of our Unitarian Universalist siblings in faith, Christopher Reeve, the actor who played Superman on television and in the movies, and then became tragically paralyzed in a horse riding accident. Talk about a story of struggle and power. His struggle was as much spiritual as it was physical. Spiritual in that he had the internal fortitude and the will to do the work of healing his body, mind, and spirit. Spiritual in that he had to figure out who he was when his body was no longer able to be Superman. Spiritual in that he had to find a way to reclaim his power. Not the power of his body, but the power of his voice. Spiritual in that his Unitarian Universalist principles and values were the moral compass that guided the choices that he made with the remainder of his life. Friends, make no mistake, we have been through a monumental struggle, one that isn't over yet. Maybe not as epic or even as life-altering as that of Christopher Reeve, but still a struggle that we should not diminish. There is not a person alive today whose life has not been touched by COVID-19. We've all struggled with fear and uncertainty, grief and loss, loneliness and isolation, despair, frustration, and a sense of powerlessness. Some have lost loved ones to COVID, or have been stricken with the disease themselves, or both. We've all been broken in some way. The struggle we are in now is fundamentally a spiritual struggle, finding the fortitude and the will to heal ourselves. The fortitude and the will to figure out who we are now, individually and collectively, and figuring out how it is that we will live in the world as it is now. There's a quote that's often attributed to Nelson Mandela, but was actually written by Marianne Williamson. I'm sure you've heard it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? She goes on to ask, actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small in the world does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Your presence matters. Your presence here matters. Your presence in the world matters. And there is a power in our coming together collectively in one strong body, whether we share a common space or not, connected to each other and to life in mystery and miracle. At this point in human history, our spiritual task is to discover or rediscover our power. Individual power and collective power, to nurture it in ourselves and each other, and then to use that power as a force for positive change in the world. I know this congregation has a long history of doing just that. It's as the cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead once said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Our collective power is not a power over, but a power with, power shared with each other and with the Spirit of life, knowing that no one of us alone can achieve what we can together. This is why we come to church, online or in person, to enter the mystery, to join our strengths together, to share our struggles, and with humility, to claim whatever power we possess and use it in service of a common good. Much as we gather in mystery, strength, struggle, and power in this season, when we light candles in the dark, we gather too in hope and courage, compassion and care, friendship and love. There is a spirit that animates our gathering, a spirit that moves in us and among us when we gather to recommit our lives to nurturing spiritual growth that will lead us into the beloved community that we seek. May the spirit that moves in us, may that spirit move us to praise the good that is in us and around us, lifting us and strengthening us for what is yet to come. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Our closing song is Carolyn Mcdade's Spirit of Life. The lyrics will appear on the screen. I invite you to rise up in body or in spirit and join in the singing. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Please join me in the words for the extinguishing of the chalice as you know them. I don't know if we have a slide for them today, but you know them. Many of you do. Not everybody knows. They're in the hymnal. Does anybody know the number of the hymnal? Towards the back. This too is a holy moment. Or let's just repeat it after me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And I leave you today with words written by Maureen Killeran. As we weather the winds of change, may we have the wisdom to cherish moments of stillness. As we recollect times of challenge and of pain, may we also remember the graceful blessings of our lives. As we look to future unknowns, may we have the boldness to trust that there is unimagined good yet to come. This service has ended. May our service to the world continue renewed. Go in peace, go in love.